All right, and welcome back to Saturday Night Chit Chat. And gosh, every week it seems like I'm talking about how 2021 is just getting better and better each week on this show, and this is definitely not an exception. I'm super excited, super honored to have the amazing Mr. John Waite, the Babies, Bad English, writer of the #1 single "Missing You." We'll talk about all that stuff. But, more than anything else, is happy to have him here with us tonight. How you doing today?
I'm very well, actually. I just got back off the road yesterday. So
yeah,
I had some pasta and a glass of wine, and I had an early night kind of thing. But yeah, it's been great. I've been on the road, so life is good.
You been out for a bit, or was it just like a short run? Or
no, we've been out with Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo playing full band gigs and the occasional unplugged date.
Oh, nice.
Them. Yeah, because I got an unplugged record out, so I'm sort of like getting behind that. And we're doing private shows too, and we got 2 weeks off, and then we hit the road again in Florida. Ruth Eckerd Hall and all that stuff with Pat and Neil, and then we do solo gigs in Florida, and then I think it's the Midwest. But as far as COVID goes, we're damn the torpedoes. We're trying to just keep going, and people are showing up in droves. So I think everybody wants to hear music again. But we're careful, with the Pat and Neil thing. When you arrive backstage, you get tested.
Yeah.
And you have to be double vaccinated.
Sure.
And if you want to get in a crowd of people, I think it's the honorable thing to do.
Yeah.
So, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
You can walk around with flu and give people flu and not feel bad about it.
Right, right.
You can walk around with COVID and somebody could potentially die, or their children. So shut the fuck up and get vaccinated,
Yay, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I was going to get into that, but I'm glad you jumped feet first on that too as well.
It's the world. It's where the people are really dying. We were in Tulsa yesterday, and they don't seem to have a lot of it. It's the weirdest thing, the whole crowd were not wearing masks, and we were before we were on stage,
Sure.
And you just look at it, it's so unmanageable, it's like it flares. We just canceled a tour of Holland last week. We were supposed to be in Holland this week, and different countries have different problems. America's like a patchwork quilt. It's just it's different everywhere.
Right. Well, it's like we've almost become like little countries, where it's like opposed to states. It's like because everybody's kind of handling this thing in a different way, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
So you're in Los Angeles area, is that right, John?
I'm in Santa Monica.
Oh, okay, got it.
Dig this. It's like it's all overcast today. It's kind of cool.
Not too shabby.
So, yeah, it's nice.
And you lived in New York for a real long time, though, didn't you?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I just, I love New York, and I always consider moving back there.
Right.
I was there a month ago just looking at places to live, but it's easy to be creative in New York.
Sure.
It's just my speed.
Right.
The buildings, the people, the parks, theaters, the museums, the cafes, the wine, the food, fashion, just everything. The art of living in New York, it's full on.
Did you move straight from the UK to New York? Like, was that your first place?
No, with the
lived?
No, with the babies, we lived in Hollywood, in West.
Oh, okay,
got it. And then sort of went back and forth, lived in England again, and then came back and to LA, then moved to New York.
Right.
And by the 80s, I was really kind of living in New York.
Right. Wow, that's incredible. So, so obviously born in the UK, Lancashire. Is that what I thought I read that? Right.
Lancaster.
Yeah. And is that? I should know this because I've been over there, but like, is that? I know UK is not as big as it is over here, but like, is that, how close is that to London? Is that kind of like?
It's 223 miles.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, but it's nearly on the coast.
Okay.
It's in the Irish Sea. It's 4 miles from Morecambe, which is on the coast,
Got it.
and it's about 70 miles from Liverpool going north.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city. It's got a castle and magnificent old buildings and 11th century foundations on the cathedral, and it's got a river and a canal, and it's always been kind of like a tough town, but it had a university
Yeah.
built about 50 years ago, and since then it's been sort of like knocked around and renovated, but it's the fourth most popular university, I think, in Britain. It's suddenly become the place to go for university, but it's a beautiful city surrounded by fields, and when it was built, they were really thinking about how it looked. It's really something.
And then growing up there, was there like a little bit of a music scene there, or like kind of Yeah.
I mean, there's about 3 local bands, and the Alex was like the local sort of dance hall that was kind of dangerous. It's like boys songs, sailors fighting in the dance halls.
Right.
You kind of went in there and you took your life in your hands, but you could see the local bands playing R&B.
Yeah.
And with the university being there, I actually saw Free and John Mayall and I mean the Who.
Wow.
I mean, when they opened the university, the Great Hall used to bring in bands that you would not believe. And every Friday or Saturday, if I hadn't any money, if I could get in, I would go and see these incredible bands. I mean, the Faces played there. Paul McCartney arrived one day and just plugged in and played a show. I mean, it's like, but there was music everywhere. It's a tough town, but a musical town. And there's an Irish kind of underlining kind of Scottish, Irish, Celtic kind of thing going on in the Northwest. So there was always folk music. And the Cafe Society had a great jukebox.
And then were you, did you like gig around in some of those places as you got to be like a teenager and older, I'm assuming?
Yeah, you had to leave town to go and play in the pubs and the inns around town, but you jump in the back of a van with all the gear and the drummer and the guitar player, and we had a roadie. And we go and play, get £5. It was a fortune at the time, and when just the way it went, I wound up going to London with a guitar player, Ollie Alcock, and he had a band called England.
Okay.
And they needed a bass player, and I was a bass player, So.
Oh, I never knew. Wow, that's cool. I was going to ask you if you did any other instruments besides singing. And
I love the bass.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the cello and oboe and all that. I love the bass instruments, but it had a big influence on my singing. I think you can hear it in Paul McCartney. You can hear it in Paul Rodgers. He started off as a bass player.
Wow.
You just hold the note down and sing, and it's got the interval. You can it stays with the bass drum somewhere, and you see the interval. So I mean, and the passing notes are beautiful.
Right.
But it involved. But I went to London, and we played the Marquee Club and hung out in London and starved and all that kind of thing. It was great,
Wow.
Just fantastic. Yeah.
And then what got you over to the States? And was it the babies? Is that like, I mean,
when England broke up, we stayed together without the singer, and the singer went to America. And when England broke up about a year later, he sent me a letter when I'd quit. I'd gone home to Lancaster, and he sent me a letter saying they needed a bass player in this band in Ohio, the Boys. And
Ohio, wow, that's where I'm from. Wow.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Cincinnati. That's where I'm at right now. Cincinnati. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Beautiful city.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to Ohio by hook or by crook. I got a visa and went and spent 4 or 5 months in Cleveland. Yeah. And MMS was it? And Kid Leo and the radio scene and the T-shirt shops and the Agora. I mean, it was a fantastic thing. I'd read Ian Hunter's Diary of a Rock and Roll Star on my way home from London. Yeah. And I thought, man, I've just got to get to London. I've got to get to America, I've just got to go. And I got home and my dad said, you're not coming back, son. You either get a job and move out, or I'm going to pick you up and put you out. It was like, I was going like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? And this letter came through the mailbox.
Yeah.
So it was just a wonderful, the timing was right. So I went to Cleveland, and it just rocked my world. I thought Ohio was great, and the people were great. They all loved music, and everything was about music.
Yeah.
And the bands that came through the Agora, you got like Peter Frampton, and you had major touring acts would hit the Agora chant.
Yeah.
And you'd go out, scrounge some beer money and go out and between gigs go and see these fabulous bands again. So it was pretty great.
Wow, that's so incredible. I didn't know that. I mean, I always do research on who I have on the show, but I didn't know that the Ohio connection. That's why, and the bass player thing. Wow, it's like a double whammy.
No,
that's pretty amazing.
Revealing stuff,
Wow. And then, so you were obviously then started kind of, I'm assuming, touring around the Midwest predominantly at that point, No,
it was just it was just Ohio. I mean,
got it.
We were trying to get a record deal out of New York, and we had a record company interested, but it all fell through. And I went back to London and lived in Belsize Park with my girlfriend over a sweet shop, and put the babies together. And it was just, I was kind of not defeated by coming back. You look at some of the hardships that musicians go through when they're young, and people say, how did you stay together and do that? What?
Yeah.
But there is no real choice. There is no plan B, Right. Either love it or you don't. And if you love it, you're going to be doing it when you're in your old age.
Right.
Maybe playing a bar in a corner. The joy of making music. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be top of the pops to be completely happy,
Yeah. So true. Definitely. And then, so the babies kind of formed over there, and then I'm assuming got a deal, and then, started, and then that's when you started coming back here and started touring back in the States at that point then?
Yeah, we came for like a 12-day promotional tour. And the record company put us up in great hotels, and we had sort of soirees, in New York City for the first time, in the Plaza Hotel kind of thing. And oh man, it was rocking, and it was dangerous because it was like the late 70s. People were still getting mugged and shot and stuff, but it was like that Rolling Stones Studio 54.
Right.
Really kind of like a
CBGBs, all that stuff.
CBs, and the Bottom Line and Hurrahs, and the Peppermint Lounge was still going. But I mean, to be exposed to that, it was love at first sight, really.
Yeah.
And the babies went back to England and came back and toured. Then we decided to move to LA because we were touring so much. It was cheap to keep us in America. Yeah. Because we're doing so much work here. And at the end of the babies, I went home to England, got married, quit, bought a cottage, lived in the countryside, and then had second thoughts and moved to New York. And my life kicked off as a solo artist.
Because you did this before Bad English. You were doing the solo thing first, right? And then moved to So with writing, specifically, obviously having a huge #1 hit. I mean, I know that's a life-changing type thing. A good friend of mine, he's a Cincinnati guy too, co-wrote the song "Smooth" for Santana, and it was like, it's his name's A Tall Shore. He wrote it with Rob Thomas, and it's a big life-changing thing for him. And it was really cool to see him going through all that. It was pretty. It was a fun ride to see. Yeah. So I'm sure the same, similar I'm sure you've got similar stories. But what were you? As a writer, was it, as you were, what made you interested in writing? I mean, a lot of people just singers or bass players. Yeah. I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
No, I wrote as a kid.
Yeah.
When I was waiting for a bus to go home, we lived in the countryside in these stone cottages. And there was a bus that used to come around the corner after I got out of school. And it had Scotforth, which is where I lived.
Yeah.
And then 11, Scotforth 11. And I remember writing a lyric or a melody to that, waiting for the bus. And I was exposed to like Brenda Lee and Hank Williams and, Roy Orbison and all this stuff, the Shadows, and then the Beatles came out and it all changed.
Yeah.
But my cousin Michael was a tremendous guitar player, banjo player, and he played me like Jimmy Rogers and all sorts of stuff. And I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it was still the dark end of the street. If you're a musician or an art student, which I became both, but you know, it was always regarded as like one step up from being a shoplifter. You know, it was like you were never looked at like an equal. You were like the enemy.
Yeah.
But it was the bohemian streak. You know, it was like, and everybody that followed that path belonged to that kind of society. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's still obviously a lot that vibe still is, you know, there's still always that whenever you go to family functions, like, oh, so when are you going to get the real job thing? You know, it's always in the air, you know, no matter how much success you have, that's always in the air, you know?
Yeah.
Well, like, so let's kind of zap ahead a little bit. Well, then real quick before we zap ahead to where we are now. So was it with the bad English, was it like the need, you're like, okay, this is cool on the solo thing, but I really like doing like a band situation? Like what kind of was the impetus for that?
I'd made a few solo records and I was bored. I mean, I was really bored. And they got me my manager, Trudy Green, took me into Epic Records to meet the A&R guy.
Yeah.
And he wanted to sign me. And it was a major deal, and it was major company. They had great people there.
Yeah.
It was Rolls Royce, you know, but he didn't like my writing. He was like, we're gonna have to work on these songs, and I don't know about that. I've got this vision, you know. And I thought, really, I didn't like that one bit. So I went away. I had this idea to maybe put a band together, like Bowie did with Tin Machine.
Right, sure.
You know, just turn it around, you know.
Right.
And just all fell together over about 3 or 4 months. But that's how Bad English came about. I thought we'd do better as a band, or I would do better as a band.
Yeah.
Up against that, and it worked, you know.
Yeah. And then everybody in the band were like, had previous relationships with them, or they were on?
Jonathan Cain, and Ricky Phillips were in the Babies,
right?
Or the second version of the Babies, and Neil Sean came with Jonathan Cain, and Dean Castronovo showed up. With Neil, we were trying out all sorts of different drummers, and Neil had jammed with Dean the night before in a club, as we all did at that point.
Right.
And Dean came in and started playing fusion music with Neil, and he didn't get the job. And then a week later, Neil said, "Why don't we try him again? You know, I've talked to him." Yeah. And Dean came in and blew the roof off. He was just a spectacular drummer. Wow. And a great guy, you know, really a great guy, funny as hell. And when things got tense in the band, he would always make people laugh. Or most of us, you know. Right. He was a great guy.
That's amazing. So let's kind of move ahead to now. Obviously, you're out touring, and you're a handful of all the artists. This show started almost when the pandemic started, so you know, I can name on one hand how many artists have been out touring. You're one of the few. I had Steve Stevens on last week. They just started doing a little bit of touring as well. And, you know, going into 2022, where do you see, you know, you think we're going to be back to, you know, semi 2019 normal, or you think that's ever going to happen again? Or what do you feel? And, you know, how do you feel?
I don't know. I read the papers every morning on the internet, and the New York Times today was saying they have a pill to treat COVID.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that. Wow.
Yeah, it's coming real soon. So if you get it, they can cure it. Oh. So, I mean, that's how fast science works.
That's incredible.
You know? And, you know, we're not a gigantic band. I have a new triple CD out called Wooden Heart. And it's all acoustic songs, Dylan songs, Missing You. It's like a retrospective of my life with a few things. It's a good record, Wooden Heart. And we're going out, like I said, with Neil and Patty, and we're headlining shows as an electric full-on band like we did in Tulsa. Yeah. But we're also thinking about this unplugged thing. Yeah. And it's not really unplugged, it's electric. It's 2 acoustics and a bass guitar. And it's powerful, you know, and you can do it in a small theater. You can do it in like any kind of a small listening room or art center. And so I think you can get away with being on the road doing that. Yeah. The pandemic, for really big bands, if you invest like $500,000 or $1 million in trucking, lights, sound system, you rent the auditorium or whatever it is you're playing, dead, you know, you're out to lose a gigantic amount of money if the virus turns around and bites you.
Right.
But when you're on a smaller level, as well as doing those big gigs, we can just keep going with that. And you know, we could go and play New York City now. It might be multiple nights, 3 nights at the Iridium, or you know, a smaller club, or you know, City Winery is great. Those kind of gigs, we can do those without missing a beat. You know? And so we're going to probably be on the road no matter what. The missing Holland was tough. We really do very well there. We have great friends there, and it's great. You know, but they couldn't make that work, because you can't allow too many people into a gig there. You have to sort of halve the audience. So
are they getting hit? I haven't really heard a whole lot about Holland. Are they getting hit pretty hard? Like,
well, the promoters can't do what they want to do.
Oh,
you know?
got it.
But you know, meanwhile in New Zealand, there's gigantic concerts happening. And in Australia, they're having these shows. In Melbourne, there's almost riots now. People in the streets, they don't want to be in lockdown. You know. I mean, man, it's like a wild horse, you know. A frightened wild horse. It's like it's just completely all over the place. Right.
Wow. Now the record you mentioned, that's available now too, right? At all, everyone, where everybody, like streaming places or where everybody
streaming. It's on iTunes. You can buy it in Target. It's 3 CDs. It's a retrospective with new songs. It's called Wooden Heart. This is actually, this is a poster. Well, this is the cover. I haven't got a copy to show you, but that's what it looks like.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's
I did my
incredible.
Own. I went to art school, so I'm sort of.
Oh, you did that? Wow, that's incredible. Wow.
That's me.
Wow, so, that's amazing, John.
With the acoustic, but yeah, it's great. I mean, we're really looking forward. This gig we did the other night, talking about Rob Thomas and Santana. But we had Kyle Cook from Matchbox 20 playing guitar with us.
Oh, sure,
He played on a lot of my records and comes out and plays with us. In fact, the last time we played Europe, he went with us. So there's the band's real strong.
That's incredible.
And it's just great. At this level, you can really live with the pandemic. You know, it's a first class ticket. You fly first class, the hotels are great. If it's a smaller gig, it's still wonderful to see people coming out.
Of
course. It's great to play to people and get that reaction. And, you know, we might not be able to do meet and greets anymore and that kind of shake hands, but you can talk to them from the stage. And a lot of the Wooden Heart stuff is very conversational. You stop and talk. There's a lot of the songs that like stories anyway. So,
people love that. I mean, that's why, like, I think services like, you know, like Twitch and stuff like that have gotten so big, because they love that interaction. You know, it's not just the music, it's the artist talking to you about the music, you know.
Well, you know, some of the songs need explaining. Like I got a song I wrote a long time ago called Bluebird Cafe, which is it's an imaginary song about a girl leaving home to move to Nashville. It's 10 years old, but that you have to set that song up and people are entranced by that. It's a short story. It's like going back to being a kid. I always wrote like short stories, and I always read. I like books. So even from the babies, moving forward with the babies, I mean, I would try to put a story in the songs, even with bad English. Like Ghost in Your Heart or Time Stood Still. They are in fact short stories. And whether people go for that, that's a divider right there. I like people to really listen to it, you know? Right.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, man, I mean, it's just again, thank you so much for being on the show. I guess I want to ask you one last question before we go. You still play bass at all? That's the most important.
No, I've got a Osiris bass.
Oh, nice.
Hey, just don't move, okay?
Oh, you know, how cool is this? He's grabbing a bass.
This.
Oh, whoa! I've seen it. Yeah, those are dope.
That was the bass I played in the Babies, but it's hand built. You know.
Wow. Is that like kind of like a metal kind of? I mean, what's? Oh, wow.
Well, engraved with like cowboy imagery and ropes and lariats and.
Wow.
I got that made for me in it says 1976.
That's incredible.
But asking if I play bass, I mean, I'm gonna make some music this week in the studio.
Yeah.
Instead of going in with a guitar, I'm gonna go in with a bass, and just, you know, approach it differently. I was a pretty good bass player, pretty solid.
Yeah.
And that's where I came from. So I think I'll get the songs rolling on the bass first.
Wow. That is so cool. Wow. And thank you for sharing that with me and everybody watching the show. That's is it short scale? It looks a little shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's what I said. It looks short. Yeah.
It was made for me, and I used to play an EB3.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Cherry red, you know, 2 pickups. And it's
yeah.
the same kind of scale. It's got a shorter scale and a thin neck. It's very thin body. These pickups came from Eric Clapton.
Oh, nice.
He brought them back from Japan, of all places. But it's, you know, and it's got hearts, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Is that like ebony fingerboard?
Yeah. So you're a bass player, right? With a name like FREEKBASS.
Good guess. Yeah. Yes, you got it. Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
What do you play?
I'm bass wise. I mean, you know, I'm a I like old Fender. You know, I'm Larry Graham, Bootsy. You know, I'm from Cincinnati, so the funk thing was Bootsy Collins produced a couple of my albums, and
great.
There's another Cincinnati native as well. So, but yeah, you know, a lot of Fender jazz. I got some crazy one boutique company stuff too as well. But you know how it is. It's like I have way too many basses, like too many.
Oh, me too. You know,
yeah.
I used to at one point. I had a Dan Electro Longhorn, an original from the '60s, and with the Babies. And
nice.
I let it go, but you know, I'm always looking for a Dan Electro Longhorn.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful. Yeah.
The old ones, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm just partnered up. I'm getting ready to doing a thing with Music Man, Ernie Ball Music Man. So I'm going to start working with them. So they're supposed to be sending me something over real soon, which I'm pretty excited about. So you know, because Louis Johnson, you know, he's a big Music Man guy from all those Johnson brothers Johnson and early Michael Jackson stuff and everything. Yep. So
cool.
Well, cool, man. Well, so good talking to you, and man, so like congratulations on being on the road. And you know, I've been doing little shows. It's been more like festival outside stuff. I remember it was July. We started doing shows again, and it was starting to feel like, oh, everything's kind of normal again. And then August hit, and it kind of changed again. You know, it seems like it's almost weekly anymore. But you know,
well, we have 21 dates between now and Christmas. Like I said, we have 2 weeks off, and then we hit it. You know, and I can't see it being cancelled. You're always looking out the corner of your eye, like,
right?
Yeah, am I going to really be out of the house for 3 weeks? Am I going to go for 2 weeks? You know,
sure.
But I think people are really pulling. You know, it's like Springsteen on Broadway. If you get vaccinated, Springsteen is going all the way to Times Square. You know, he's out in the world. He's a man of the people. He's sort of making that work.
Right.
And a lot of artists, there's more in play here than being safe. You know. Yeah. There's ground rules, and then we can all get together. And this thing is a germ. It doesn't differentiate between people. Right. It's a virus, rather. Right. And, so you got to get safe, man. Yeah. If you get safe, we're all going to come through it, you know? Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, man, thanks so much for being on the show. Hopefully I'll get to see that bass in person one of these days. It's so badass. I love it. That's so cool. Yeah, love it. So congrats on everything. Just an amazing career, and stay safe out there. And God bless you. Yeah, keep pushing forward, and we'll see you soon, John. Thank you so much. Yeah, God bless, man. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.